So welcome. Today we're going to be breaking down boutique brokerages versus the big box brands and why niche firms are making a move on the scene now in the real estate industry. So very conversational based. Adriano and I have both worked at both a franchise big box as well as boutique brokerages.
Hi guys, I'm her lovely husband that's over here. I do agree with my lovely wife. She, as she stated, we were at a big box for a while, and then eventually we transitioned into a boutique brokerage. I'll let her go back.
Right. So this is, I think, a very common discussion in our industry because it seems like the big brokerages are getting bigger and bigger and absorbing one another. And then you have a lot of smaller niche firms. And so it begs the discussion that we want to have today, because this is an industry thing that I think all realtors are looking at. Even if you just got your license, you're experienced, this is something that I think everybody should take a look at individually. So whenever we have these discussions today, and we want you to comment below with your thoughts, this isn't really taking a stance on which is better. It's discussing the pros and cons of what you get in each environment and figuring out what works for you. He and I have both been in the real estate industry quite some time. We've worked at, as he said, large franchise brokerages. We've worked at boutique, niche, smaller community brokerages. And so we've gotten the vantage point of what works for each. Now, when Adriano started out, he went straight into a big box brand. I don't know if you want to mention the franchise name, but tell us about your experience with that and what your expectations were in that environment.
So coming into the environment, first of all, I was doing W-2 sales. I was at a company and I've been doing that for years on end. Worked for a cell phone company for quite a while. And then I got into formerly known as Time Warner. I was door to door. I would work in the field for quite some time, and then I was a part of a program that was inside of a Best Buys, and then I was just talking to folks about signing up cable, internet, and phone, which was the easiest thing I've ever done. So, and then I had buddies telling me, you should do real estate. You should do real estate. You should do real estate. And eventually, finally, I got my real estate license out in California, Southern California, that is, and then I got it. And I still I maintained a job. And this is one thing I will say, you can't do both. There's some agents, don't get me wrong, there's some agents that can. I just happen to be not one of them because I was on a quotas. So I was just trying to get my quota and then do it part-time. But that really didn't work out so well. So then I went to the franchise of Keller Williams. I went there. And it was, my buddy was saying, hey, you know what? You should go to KW. They're training this, and this. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. So then I showed up. And they were the first outfit I went to, not knowing. I was just taking his advice, and I went to KW. So then I was there. They gave me the red book, which said, read this. Go ahead and read this book. And basically, here's a coach. Take a disc assessment, and we'll find out what your personality is, and we're going to assign you to a coach. She was wonderful. Coach was great. But then eventually, I asked more questions. I'm like, okay, I come from I come from a sales job. Like, what do I do? I'm not afraid to do any of this. Like, what's next? So we had to figure out how to go through that long journey of, I asked, what's next? Hey, how about ask another agent in the office for an open house? Little did I know I did. And then I was handed, oh yeah, you can do my open house. And then the house was on the market for 200 days and I did an open house, a waste of 4 hours of my life. And I go, this can't be it. So frustrated. I was so upset about that. I was like, dude, this can't be the way you do it. There's no one walk through. Mm-hmm. So then I would then go ask questions. But unfortunately that I found out that there was gatekeepers. There were some agents that didn't want to tell you what they did. And I kind of picked up on that real fast. I go, okay, these people don't really want to share what they do. And I found that extremely frustrating, mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, understood. This is a freaking solo sport that they have the secrets. They don't want to let you know.
Yeah. Well, and I guess we should preface this by saying not every brokerage with the same franchise has the same culture. I mean, That's the thing about all these different companies is they all have different management. So the big box brands do have consistency in their branding, which is that maybe what appealed to you initially of why you chose that firm? Like, did you interview other firms?
No, I didn't, because he said KW, go to KW. It's got the best training, this and that. It's one of the largest. So I went over there not knowing, right? It was the first one in there. I just took his word for it. And then I didn't know what else was out there.
Was it a large company? Like a lot of agents there?
There was a lot. There was about like 300.
Oh, wow.
There was about 300 agents in that office, I think. I just know there was a lot of people in and out, but I didn't feel like I got what I needed was the training. What they wanted to do is send me to classes that I had to pay for. And I wasn't a big fan of that. I was like, why am I paying to sell? I know how to do it. Just give me guidance. And that was very frustrating.
Yeah.
So I was not having it.
Yeah.
I wasn't, and that I didn't like that they were trying to sell you things like classes and this and that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have to pay?
Yeah, and I think that kind of gets to really, whenever I think about this discussion and the big difference between big box franchise companies and small boutique firms is, and nothing against KW, it's just that there's a model that lends itself well to large scalability. And I do think there is some quality lost in that. Now, you can be a large company with great leadership in the ranks that allows you to have that mentorship and training. Don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of agents forget how saturated our industry is and how important mentorship is in those early days. Absolutely critical.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know, every office is managed differently because I thought KW was just one thing, but they're all franchised. There's different owners. So every office, every culture is different. There's probably some great KW offices out in the country. Fantastic. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that was my experience when I went to this particular one. I just needed a little bit more help as a salesperson, wanting to know, what do I do next?
Right. So maybe being in a smaller environment would have allowed you to have more training, more support, more mentorship, or at least small leadership structures within the ranks to give you that mentorship. Because there are big companies that have teams where you can get mentorship. That's nothing to disregard. Do you feel like at the end of the day, like training aside, do you feel like having that logo next to your name opened more doors for you? Like, do you feel like, and we could say KW, we could replace it with a Remax balloon, we could replace it with a Century 21 logo, any big box franchise brand. I think some new agents, it appeals to them because they feel safe having credibility and they recognize that logo. Do you feel in real life like it actually opened up any new doors for you that you would not have had?
No, because it doesn't matter if you're one of the big box franchises, 123 Realty, ABC, Sesame Street Realty. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People work with you because they like you. Yeah. They trust you and they want to work with you. That's really the name of the game. It might help in some certain areas. I don't think it really made a big deal because once I figured out the game and I figured out what needed to happen, it didn't matter what branding it didn't matter what company I was a part of. I needed to talk to the client. It's all about relationship building with that person. Coming from a W-2 sales environment, it was transactional. I sold one thing, I got paid in a week. Yeah. Right. And then what I learned, I had to have some patience because I had zero patience. It's a long game. I got really frustrated and my follow-up game was terrible because I was short-sighted because that was just the way it was. I was just used to it and I had to learn patience and the fortunes and the follow-up, which I learned along the way. Yeah. And some of it I had to pay for and we'll get into that later. But I had to figure it out because I really literally had to pay for it. Not the KW training, but there was other methods that I figured it out.
Yeah. I think especially for new licensees, if you're listening to this and you found this video by looking into what firms you should affiliate with, always remember that you are an independent contractor. And so as a real estate license holder, regardless of what state you're in and wherever you're sitting right now watching this, remember that the brokerage that you join, there's a difference between having good management and helping you develop in your own personal leadership. There's big companies that have excellent management and they will tell you what to do, right? But I would just encourage you that whatever firm you choose to affiliate with, just remember that your personal development and that your leadership within that company, that's what develops who you are. And I think that's probably more the perspective to have as you're joining a firm and you're looking for that environment is not, do I have a place to plug in here and I have to fit into a certain box and I have to go through the motions and I have to pay for this program. Like if you feel like cattle, it's probably not the place you're going to grow, right?
Get over here.
Yeah, like I've heard people compare it to that. And that's really sad because if you're watching this video, you probably have a real estate license or you're getting ready to get your real estate license and you've worked really hard for that, right? And this is how you plan to feed your family. So it matters a lot where you plant yourself. Is it a place you can grow? Is it a place that's invested in your personal development? And when comparing big box versus boutique brokerage, I would just say, I do think that there's a little bit of an advantage to people being able to get the attention they need and the mentorship and the example set around them. So work culture, I guess, is a good way to sum that up. And you can have a great work culture regardless of the size of the company. But I do think it takes a lot of intention to preserve a good work culture on such a large scale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had a lot of training.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of training, but it wasn't the training I was looking for. It was training like paperwork and how to write a contract. And when I looked at this, I go, if I can't figure out how to get a client,
Mm-hmm.
what good is it me learning contracts?
Right.
If I don't have a client, there's no contract. If there's no client, there's no contracts.
We joke about this a lot at our brokerage because he and I do a lot of training for our team. And we always kind of have this little funny banter of what's more important, like the sales training or the forms training, because he does a lot of the sales training and prospecting and follow up and scripts and how to get business. And I do all the training on forms and compliance and how to handle MLS situations and all that stuff. And he always says, no deals, no dot loop.
Yeah, no deals, no dot loop.
Right.
Because if you cannot, and the number one thing, if you cannot get a lead,
Mm-hmm.
what good is contracts going to do?
Yeah.
Because you learn as you go.
Yeah. And I'll say another thing too. When you think about as a new agent, don't fall for the trap of just looking around of who's going to spoon feed you leads. And like look for a company that's going to actually train you how to go get the business and not just your sphere of influence. I find that to be a bit of a cop-out whenever
it's still important.
It's important.
10% of your business should be
Yes.
coming from your sphere of influence year after year.
Yes, but when you sit down with a brokerage, you are interviewing that company as much as they are interviewing you. And consider what you bring to the table. If they value you for your list of contacts and they're not going to teach you how to add to that list of contacts, absolutely work your sphere of influence. I am not saying not to. However, make sure that you're working with a company that's going to invest in you and teach you how to grow your sphere of influence, because otherwise there's a shelf life to that. You only have so many cousins to sell a house to.
Yeah, that's what we had to tell agents. What happens when that dries up? What's next?
Yeah.
You can only go so far. You check in with your sphere of influence once a quarter. You should be talking to your people no matter what. But, what happens? What's next? Are you going to be one of the agents that buys leads? Are you going to be one of the agents that sits there? Or you're going to be a go-getter? There's only 3 types of agents. And, you have to really think about what brokerage what provides, because, this business, the top 10%, the top agents in this business, they go get the business. They go get it.
Yeah.
And they all they all have their certain ways, but you know what? One thing is they're consistent on doing that. And really, if you're a new agent or you're not getting that, you need to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting the training, which I found frustrating, keeping this in mind, and when I was looking for the answers, some people don't want to help, and you have to soul search on your own. And I eventually figured out there was coaching programs, and I had to pay for it, and I got enrolled in coaching, and I figured it out because I just needed a little guidance on a little couple techniques to enhance what I already knew, which I already knew. Go get business is how, what's the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think another way to determine if a brokerage really provides the environment that you are looking for is to talk to the agents that work there. Like, are they successful? Is it a huge roster of starving realtors? Like, that's not the ideal scenario. So not that big necessarily means terrible quality. And it also doesn't mean that boutique brokerages mean small. I think it's just more about the brand. can be more about recognition, but a boutique firm's more about your personal development.
I think, I would agree. I can say yes and no. I'm saying there's some franchises out there that, like I said, they're all owned and operated by different folks. And some people that do own a franchise, they're good at training. Make sure when you are looking, these are the things that I would say, hey, how's the training? How are you going to help me get business? These are one thing. There's some great franchise brokerages that have, the extras, the bells and whistles, the programs. That's all fine and dandy. But really what it comes down to, honestly, it doesn't matter what brokerage you go to. Training, how are you going to help me get what I need, which is leads? And is there going to be support? Number one thing most agents want is that support. When you can call, boutique or no boutique, you can call that your broker in charge. Because we're out in North Carolina, so I call broker in charge. Here in North Carolina and California, your broker or anywhere else in the country, that they're available. There is, because you got to remember, this is a people business, not just for clients, but we have to serve you. We always have that philosophy with the client as our agents. We have to serve them to make sure they get what they need.
Yeah.
Because, being in the Marine Corps, I tell her all the time, I was in the Marine Corps. I take it very seriously because I was an infantryman. I had a squad of people, and I had to make sure they stayed alive in training. This to me is, well, we're not in combat, but I got to make sure you eat for your family, because I take it personal if your family and you have kids and they're not eating because I'm doing something wrong. And I got to make sure that I've given you every tool possible to make sure that doesn't happen. And that's huge.
Yeah. And, that's the thing about large scale or small scale firms, having a lifeline on a local level, because there are a lot of localities and little nuances based off your state. Like if you're listening to this, even just what you refer to your broker as, like in North Carolina, it's broker in charge. Well, in some states, there's salesperson and broker, and then broker and agent. So I cannot emphasize enough, regardless of what brokerage you affiliate with, make sure that you have a good local, on the ground example to follow, lifeline to call. Training is not a slideshow. You cannot do that with a webinar. It requires you to lock arms, be in the trenches, and have somebody to call on when you're in those murky gray areas, which I think is real estate is full of. So just make sure that you've got somebody that you can call on. So I think it is more about the leadership within than necessarily, and what do you call it, small unit leadership? It was
small unit leadership. Marine Corps emphasizes on small unit leadership. Which is basically take care of your squad and take care of your people. And then really, this is what it comes down to. Like I said, boutique, non-boutique, this is just in general.
Yeah.
In general, good rule of thumb.
Right. You want your brokerage to look at you as the leadership and the future of that company. So you would want to have somebody that's willing to invest in you, knows what your goals are, cares to ask what your goals are, and then takes it upon themselves to help you achieve that. And I guess that's what maybe the parallel with the military, the Marine Corps. But I think there is something to be said for that. And that can be whether you're part of a franchise or not. But I do think that having that leadership that cares about your goals, you're not just another head count. I mean, you want to make sure that they're listening to you and they're leaning into your strengths. They're listening to your weaknesses and they're holding you accountable and providing the training on a regular basis that applies to you.
Yeah. And there's different models out there, and there's some brokerages, boutique, not boutique, that have teams within the brokerage. They got some great teams, big teams out there that are very well structured. You got good team leaders out there. That's another thing. Look at team leaders if you're looking, if it's a good fit for you. If they have on a Zillow Flex, if you're looking for that, they basically, if you don't know what that is, they hand you leads. You just got to make sure you close them because you're going to be getting coached on that, on how to get the lead, go show the home, and then get them under contract and close it. So there's models in some brokerages out there, some teams out there. Like I said, there's great team leaders out there. There's some good brokerages. It also depends, and write in the comments if you're looking on the luxury side of real estate. There's a couple brands that are franchises that are known for that. Put in the comments when you think of luxury. What comes up in your mind when it comes down to franchise brokerage that is catered to luxury? Write in the comments below if you know what that is. But again, there's different brokerages for different people out there.
Yeah.
So you just got to really search if it's boutique or big box.
Yeah. And, I think another thing, thinking about the differences between these different models, both have strengths and weaknesses in areas that I think are really important to a real estate brokerage and to an agent as an individual. So these are attributes that you need to look for in a brokerage, but these are attributes that you need to make sure that you yourself are adopting. And that is being open-minded, adaptable, evolving, always watching what's on the horizon, but not losing sight of back to the basics of real estate. Like there's not some trick that's going to make you successful overnight. It is a lot of hard work, but you need to be aligned with a brokerage that is always evolving with the industry, because sometimes I think our industry has a tendency to get a little traditional at times. And I guess it depends on your market, but it's always changing. And so to be with a firm that is leading you in that and not resistant to that, sometimes big brokerages have an advantage there because they have huge leadership, deep pockets.
They got a bigger reach. They have referral networks that go across the country. Some are good, some are good, and some are not. As long as you plug in, keep this in mind. The more involved you are with your brokerage, and the more you're a player, and you show it. That's the name. You show up to work, participate. Your name will get out there, and then when you go to their big events, the big rah-rah events that they have, network with the other agents. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you're networking with them, because I think that you can get a lot of it'd be advantageous to you.
Yeah.
So,
but I will say on the flip side of that, you think about the Titanic. You cannot course correct or shift something that big on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller boutique brokerages without a lot of red tape around them, they're nimble. They can make quick decisions, adapt quickly to their local market, be very culture first, specialize in things that are important to their clients in their area. So I just feel like there's kind of a double-edged sword there. I think both have their strengths and weaknesses, but as an agent, I can't stress this enough, whether you're looking at this from the perspective of I'm choosing a brokerage, I want one to be this way or another, you yourself should hopefully encompass both of those traits yourself as well, because ultimately, spoiler alert, it doesn't matter what brokerage you affiliate with. You are an independent contractor. So the opportunities that you take advantage of and how much work you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if you're a boutique or a franchise. If you don't show up and you're not there and you're not asking questions and you're not taking advantage, because some brokerages have great programs. There's some good cloud-based brokerages that have great programs, because you might be someone that does not want to go to an office. But you plug in, you have a very good upline that you talk to your sponsors, and you're actively being involved. Because if you disappear, then you're just like, well, it didn't work. I want more training, or I want more of this, and maybe you weren't plugged in correctly, maybe you weren't contacting, and then I want to go to a brick and mortar. And we see that all the time.
Yeah.
Because, they got recruited, but they just, maybe the person who got them in doesn't have systems in place to keep you going in the right direction. So, it just really, really depends.
Yeah.
When you're researching.
Don't fall victim of chasing after the next flashiest thing.
We realtors are notorious.
Oh man,
we are always chasing for that shiny.
Because there's always somebody out there saying the grass is greener.
Always.
Just water your lawn, just water your own grass. It really is that simple. And I do think that we have a tendency to do that. But guys, be very intentional about who you affiliate with. They represent you and your company and your business as far as your independent business and how you operate. But also switching firms, it's not necessarily the easiest thing sometimes. And so you want to make sure you're making the right decision, because then you're rebranding and all that. So you will never find success if you hop from place to place to place to place.
That happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
Hopper.
Yeah, like a brokerage hopper.
Brokerage hopper, and then and just keep out there. Brokers look at this, because then they wonder what's the issue that you're moving around from.
Do you not get along well with others, or did they get you asked to leave? You give them
the false sense of oh man, this guy's trouble. This guy or gal has a lot of trouble moving around from brokerage to brokerage. What happened? Yeah. And they start asking these questions because they research you. They look you up, because that's the first thing they look up is production.
They want to know if you align well with their culture as well. And being somebody that's willing to plant roots and work hard and take advantage of the resources there, he's right. I mean, there are the analogy we use in the South is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I've spent a lot of my career walking all those horses to the water. And sometimes it's more like mules. They don't want to move.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can have tools around you and not take advantage of them.
Happens
And
all
what
the
good
time.
are they? You know, then it's the horse's problem, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
we got good water all around. The truth is every brokerage probably has something to offer, but I would just encourage you to take advantage and lean into every benefit you have in front of you.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
You know.
Because it could, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. So that means you out there, it's up to you to make it work. Because
Yeah.
again, doesn't matter if you're boutique or big box.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out there thinking about starting your own team, and this is common, you're a successful agent, you want to go solo. It's very typical to go to a big box franchise because it's basically, she likes to call it, you know, open the package,
Add water and stir.
add water and stir,
Yeah.
because they already got the training. Some of them offer, they'll recruit for you. There's all different types, but you have to pay into that.
Yeah.
You got to pay the franchise fee and everything else. But again, if you're doing that, make sure you negotiate your deal. Don't just take what they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that option. In our case, we didn't go that route because we have systems in place as when in production, because all those big boxes, if you're not an agent that likes to prospect, but you maybe had a great sphere of influence and you have the money and resources to open some sort of franchise, depending what it is, depending on the cost, then they go in with those because they're world renowned. They have a lot of recognition, you know, just to get them started, and then recruiting agents because they would identify, oh yeah, we know they're all over the country. That's their advantage, you know, and then their networking of agents that, you know, Katie was talking about. They have this, they franchise, they get referral partners throughout.
Which I personally, this is my 2 cents, I think it's a little overrated.
Right. That's what I mean.
Like, I refer
because
way outside of my own brand many
Yeah.
times just to find the right agent.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they get into it and then maybe they're just, I'm going to say it, shitty leaders, because then the people go there because they recognize the brokerage, the brand, but they don't know how to lead. They can't show you, because that was the issue that I had. I said, show me how to do it. You know, they couldn't lead. And a big thing that I transitioned from the Marine Corps into what we do today, leadership by example. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I promise you, a lot of them, you go in there, they don't know how to prospect, because I've encountered that. They don't know how to prospect. I think she's had an issue before. I don't know what that is. I don't door knock. I don't know what that is. These things matter, folks, because our job is to find out what it is, that one thing that you can do over and over and over again and be happy. That doesn't feel like work, that you can start getting business rolling. I tell our agents all the time, if you haven't read the book, The Compound Effect, pick it up, read it, because it's small, actionable items that if you do it repeated over and over and over again, it starts to snowball.
Yeah.
All right? So if your leaders can't show you how to do the work, you may want to start looking somewhere else.
Yeah. I think it's important to note, like, real estate is a pretty hyper-local service. So don't overestimate the value of a national brand, knowing that it's not about being everywhere. It's about being known for something. Like, you will find your niche. And that is really important also when you're looking at a brokerage. Make sure that there's room for you to have your own branding within that. Sometimes brands can be overly restrictive.
Yeah, that happens.
Right. And so just make sure you have your voice and make sure that that's encouraged. The longer you're in this business, the more you're going to find your ideal clientele. We call it your avatar. You know, the person that you like working with, the group or people that you feel like you really serve well, whether it's relocation, whether it's investors, whether it's luxury. But make sure that there's room for you and they leave space for you to grow in that way, because you really at some point are going to want to dial it in. And that has a lot to do with the choices you make and the consistent things you do, that you begin to become known for something. And that tends to happen organically. Nobody's going to assign you a niche.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like on a large scale, maybe it can take a little longer to find your voice in that. But just remember how local what we do is. It's very important, because if you try to serve everyone, then, you know, you kind of start to get lost in the noise. And don't get me wrong, when you first get your license, you work with everybody you can, right? But as you develop in your craft, you're really going to start to specialize in things that you would never have achieved had you not just done the work consistently. It kind of reveals itself to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily, don't look at it as like shrinking your market. Niche is not that. It's more about sharpening your authority so that you're known for a certain thing, that you're the one to call for that, because you have experience in that.
Yeah. Whatever that one thing is, if you want to be the VA guy that works with military, that knows the VA loans inside and out, you be that person. If you want to be the luxury that sells everything on the beach or on some sort of lakefront, you be that.
Yeah.
Because again, you determine the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up to me. It's not up to Katie. We give you all the tools that you need to do the work that you want. And so do these other brokerages. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if it's boutique or big box. If you got some good leaders in there, they give you everything they need, everything they have for you to accomplish the goal, right? Which is you to sell property and make the life by design that you wanted to get in real estate for.
Yeah. So I think regardless of what brokerage you affiliate with, always be looking at your business as just that. Like, not that you're necessarily building someone else's brand. Are you building your brand? Because that's the long game. That's what you're building in this business. Yes, brand matters, but people care more about their experience with you and what it made them feel like than what logo is beside of your name. So it's more about the environment.
Yeah.
Is the environment allowing you to be the best version of yourself so that when you go out and you ask for business from people, it's not a sales pitch. You're helping people and you have something to offer because you've got great backing. Like, I think that's what it boils down to.
You get great backing and people want to work because they like you. Remember that. They like you. Mm-hmm. So they want to work with you. Doesn't matter what brokerage, boutique, big box, doesn't matter. You go out there, you do the work, and there's there's great coaches out there that you can look into. There's great online. There's some on YouTube that are on there that do coaching for free. Look into that. And then do what they tell you because they've done it. We've done it. It's just you got to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
And if you want to know what coaching I have, comment below. Maybe we'll get into that in later videos. We're gonna go into coaching and things like that along the way in your career. But that's for a different video.
Yeah. So I mean, you may be watching this and you may be a new licensee trying to figure out where to affiliate and where should I hang my license, and that is a big decision. Don't get me wrong, but do not underestimate how much is really just on you. I mean, you want to affiliate with a place that's going to help you grow. You want to ask questions about leadership. You want to see examples within the ranks of people that have done well in that environment. But ultimately, your grass is going to be green if you water it, right?
Yeah.
So, is it a place that develops leaderships within? Do they have systems that you can scale with? Don't just think about where you're at today. Plan your business for where you want to end up long term. Like, think about the ability to grow in that space. Somebody's going to answer the phone when you call and help you navigate tricky situations. So if you're a new agent, those are the questions to ask. Maybe you're an agent that is sitting at a brokerage right now and you feel stuck and you're thinking about making a move, So that's just kind of part of this discussion because these are all things to think about. I think you owe it to yourself as an independent contractor, as a business owner, to make intentional, well thought out, calculated moves to progress your business forward. And sometimes that involves your environment. The analogy I always bring up is good seeds and bad soil. They're not going to grow. And it's not because they're a bad seed. It's that they don't have the environment. And so I cannot emphasize that enough, to plant yourself in a place that has rich soil that is going to take care of you even whenever you don't see the growth right away. Because as you know, like a little seed, you don't see it right away. You still have to take care of it. Something great's happening underneath the surface. So give it time to apply what's around you. Make sure that people are tending to you and there to help support your growth. But ultimately realize that that you have the responsibility as a business owner to make sure you're planted in the right place, to ask the right questions, and to make sure that you're in an environment that your business can grow in.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys have liked this video. like and subscribe. If you're in North Carolina, if you're a North Carolina agent, if you're on a team or you're a team leader, or you're thinking about maybe not opening a brokerage but want to be part of something bigger, reach out to us. Our information is right below here. Yeah. You can email us, you can text us, you can call. Because again, we are looking for some awesome agents. I wouldn't be, obviously we've done this video, but we are always recruiting some good agents. So we want to make sure that, if you got questions, reach out to us. Yeah. If this is something that we touched on that you're missing, again, we can have a conversation about it. If you are not in North Carolina, still, you can contact us if there's questions. I am licensed in California. I am not a broker, but I got my broker out in California. I got a great networking even across the country. But if you're looking for something like this, again, feel free, reach out to us.
Yeah, we just like to be part of the conversation. We see it every day, and we're very passionate about helping people grow in their business. And so this format just allows us to be conversational about it, and we invite you to the conversation. The comments below, reach out. Like he said, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're looking for a brokerage. It may just mean that you have some questions and you want to talk through some things that you've noticed or want to get another opinion on. So yeah, we hope you reach out, and thanks for watching.